My overall feeling of this hotel is one that wants to use their spooky atmosphere as a marketing tool, but also doesn't really want you to deal with it or talk about it once you actually get here.
Do you think there's any reason for that?
Could be two different reasons. Maybe the people that work here are afraid that the ghost will follow them home if they talk about it, or they don't want to be uncovered. And as we're sitting here, there's a little girl outside of our door, laughing down the hallway.
Hi.
Hello?
Do you happen to be staying here?
Yes, ma'am. We're in room.
So good morning. We are headed to Austin, Texas to stay at the alleged haunted Driskill Hotel. The RV is in the shop, so we decided in the spirit of Halloween coming up and fall to get in the spooky feel a little bit early and take you along with us. We plan on doing a nice little tour of the hotel. We're going to try to talk to some employees, see if they've seen anything interesting in there. Coming down here from the Central Texas area, I was excited. It's starting to cool off a bit down here, just a teeny bit. So I was excited to see downtown Austin, the only hotel that's on the Dirty Six. What was it like? What was the atmosphere? It's had a lot of controversy the past few years, so I was excited. My first impressions for the hotel was I thought the architecture was really cool. You could tell it was a very old building, but seemed to be well maintained. But the air of the atmosphere was very subdued and quiet. You could see a lot of the plaster that was used was from the original time period. The columns, the stained glass of the dome that was the top of the lobby with the Texas star in there. It was pretty neat. I liked all the stained glass up in that. So initially when we came in, the hotel staff at the front of the room were friendly. We were earlier for the arrival time, so we weren't sure if our room would be ready. It wasn't. They did offer us an upgrade for price. We went ahead and took it because we didn't want to lug all of our stuff around in Austin because parking is a premium, but they were courteous and pretty quick. Well, as soon as we got our hotel key, we got into the hotel's elevator to go up, the old one, and it wouldn't go anywhere. Unfortunately, we didn't have the camera on at that time, but it was very interesting to be inside the elevator and it not do anything after you press the button. Pressed it again, and this time it decided to take us up to the floor that we needed to be at. Elevator door opened and we came out. Then you're greeted with a little bit of a maze on where your room happens to be. There's different corridors to go down per floor. So it took us a minute to find where our room was. There are a lot of paintings, a lot of old oil paintings along the walls, and some creaky floors. The numbers for the doors on the rooms were not clearly organized. There was a section over here that was a certain part, and you would think you would continue on to go higher up in the numbers, and it was not. It would turn and go to a lower spot, and then you would go another corner and you would be back at like the 400s again. So my impressions of the room, they're not too bad for a downtown old hotel in Austin. They've done some good work. They've kept in their crown molding a little bit in here. The wallpaper is to help reminisce and make you feel like you're in an old Victorian room. So it's not too bad. They have on the faucet handles in like the bathrooms, it's the old time faucets, the handles on there to give you that old world vibe. We started up on the 4th floor. We started venturing out with our cell phones to capture a little bit of video, which we asked the front desk if that was totally acceptable, and we were told yes, that it was fine to have a cell phone or a very small camera for some still photos and some just little bit of videography. And so we were like, okay, this is cool. Immediately though, when we did this, the staff watched us like hawks from it. Every angle that we went, we were stared at. We were even confronted by a hotel employee telling us that we were not allowed to have any videography except for a cell phone still, when that wasn't what was said at the front desk. She was very rude and condescending about that, so we were wondering why the hostile attitude about it and what is the hotel trying to hide. The confrontation took place on the 5th floor. We had already gone past the room 525, and we were looking for the Samantha painting that's supposedly the most haunted one in the hotel. We wanted to go by and take a photo of that, and there was housekeeping all going on there, so we were not trying to hide anything. We weren't trying to, be sneaky or anything like that. We were immediately accosted by supposedly a front desk employee, but I'm not sure why she was on the 5th floor. She was supposed to be at the front desk, but she demanded to know if we were guests here, and we were not allowed to take anything except for stills with our phone, and was very, very abrupt about it. The furniture that they had on the 5th floor was kind of an old style, a little old world. I'm not sure if it's from, the 1800s or anything like that, but you could tell they weren't trying to put modern pieces down. They wanted to keep the integrity of it, of being an older hotel. We didn't set on them or anything. We just took some photos of that. The artwork is very a mixed bag up on there. It's all oil paintings, which were very beautifully done. Some have a haunting quality to them, and some are just paintings of flowers, which from what I understand, Lyndon B. Johnson, his wife had something to do with this hotel, so they made like one of the rooms and some of the artwork in here specifically for her because she loved wildflowers. So I'm assuming that's what the oil paintings were supposed to be reminiscent of, is an ode for her. But we did find the Samantha painting on the 5th floor. It does very much have an eerie glow to it. The first time I walked by, it had an orange glow to it. The second time that I went by, had more of a green tint to it. So I don't know if they have different lighting that they might want to be using up in there, or if it's a trick of the eye. Now that particular floor is also very uneven. I noticed as soon as you walked on that stretch of the hallway, there was lots of little potholes, for better or worse, under the carpet there. Very creaky, gives it a very eerie vibe. There's a lot of cattle, barren type paintings around. They have some photographs in several different spots, some collages of old photos, some memorabilia in there. I do believe on the 1st floor, the lobby floor, they have the photos and the paintings of like the Barons, the Colonel Jesse, and other people like that. The history of the hotel is a mixture of Texas history and American history. They've had presidents that have had their hand in here some way, senators and oil barons for the area. So yes, it definitely has a mixture of American history and Texas history all in one. And I do know that there are several supposed hauntings in here from people who have committed suicide, or the little girl that has fallen down the stairs and supposedly haunts the hotel in her painting and along the hallways with her ball. Initially, looking at the stairs, my first thought as someone who is a mother definitely was like, you knew at that time frame they did not have probably the nice rugs down the middle to give yourself some more balance. So it was very slippery. It would be very easy for a child to fall down those, or anybody. The exterior of the building is a stark contrast of the buildings that surround it down here in Austin. Everything else around here in Austin that's nearby, you can tell is, the later 90s, later 1900s, I should say. Buildings, they're very stark and just very industrial. But the hotel itself that's there, it's kept its architecture. It has the dragons on the front, or gargoyles, whatever that would have been at that particular time. The stonework, it stands out from everything else around it. So originally, Colonel Jesse was the owner of the hotel, and he loved his cigars and he loved the hotel. And after he passed, it was rumored that in the bar and in certain places that people would be smelling a slight cigar smell. And apparently that's him still visiting the hotel to make sure that his hotel is still running and is up ship shape. Now, we did notice in this particular room, as we were just messing around with some of our camera equipment, just a very light cigar smell for only a moment. But I haven't smelled it anywhere else, but we're gonna check out the bar this evening, so maybe it'll be there. My overall feeling of this hotel is one that wants to use their spooky atmosphere as a marketing tool, but also doesn't really want you to deal with it or talk about it once you actually get here.
Do you think there's any reason for that?
Could be two different reasons. Maybe the people that work here are afraid that the ghost will follow them home if they talk about it, or they don't want to be uncovered for the ploys that it actually is and the hoaxes that have been done. And as we're sitting here, there's a little girl outside of our door laughing down the hallway. I would recommend this hotel to someone who has maybe a little bit of an adventurous spirit. The atmosphere itself is a little moody. It's not super welcoming, but if you are an adventurous person, then I think it's something maybe you should check out. The employees of the hotel and the surrounding area, you can tell, is very standoffish, but it is a sign of the times that we currently live in. So I do believe that even though that we're in Austin, city of the weird, keep it weird, Austin, that they've even felt the economic troubles, the social troubles that have been going on. So if you can look past that, if you are very interested in the paranormal, if you're just looking for something fun to give yourself a little spookiness for this season, then I think it's a good hotel for you to check out.